Hi, I'm Gabriella, and I did the Dip TESOL with Oxford TEFL in 2010. I originally decided to do the Dip TESOL over the Delta with Oxford TEFL because firstly the program was very flexible and it suited my needs at the time, and secondly I actually preferred the content of the program. There was the option to do some work with young learners, business English, and there's a huge phonology component that I found really helpful and insightful. So that's why I chose to do the Dip TESOL. Doing it with Oxford TEFL, well, it was quite an easy decision to make because I really liked the structure of the program. It meant that I could continue with my full-time job and study online because the majority of the course was actually online for the, I think it was 6 months before the face-to-face teaching component, which I took in Barcelona for 3 weeks. So that meant that it really fit in with my schedule, and all in all you can actually complete it in quite a short period of time for such a high-level qualification. So that was really convenient for me. On the actual course, I learned a lot because firstly we had to do a lot of the work via distance learning, via the VLE, Virtual Learning Environment, which is Moodle, with Oxford TEFL, and I hadn't actually used Moodle before, so I got to use it as a student and a teacher, so that was quite interesting for me. Since then I've had a lot of contact with Moodle, so that was really my first introduction to using VLEs as a student on a teacher training program. So that was a really constructive experience for me. The other thing is you have a lot of the other students in your cohort, so there's a lot of participation, a lot of people sharing ideas, which is really helpful. And like I said, it's very flexible as well, so you can do it at any point in the week when you have free time. The other thing that was really surprising to me was that the actual course tutors that run the Dip TESOL in Oxford TEFL are really successful English language teachers. Most of them have published material, books. They're very prolific in EFL circles. So they're really the best people to have advising you and giving you feedback. So that was a real good example of what can be achieved if you dedicate your career to English language teaching. So that already from the very start was quite inspiring for me, and it kept me motivated. Not to mention the feedback was also very helpful. And then the face-to-face component was really quite hard, quite challenging. It's a very intensive 3 weeks, and you need to sleep really well and work really hard during that time. But also it was very helpful. What I remember especially was the feedback was was very thorough. I recall from the previous qualifications, from the Cert TESOL, for example, the feedback was a lot softer and not as detailed because you're an entry-level teacher or a teacher with no experience at all. But because we had experience, it was very rigorous, and of course that meant that you really pushed yourself and you noticed a progression throughout even just those 3 weeks face-to-face. So for me, it's a great course to do if you want to move into better paid, more interesting EFL roles. As a result, I actually, immediately after having completed the Dip TESOL, got my first position in a university teaching EAP, which wouldn't have been possible without the Dip TESOL. So that really pushed me into EAP teaching, English for academic purposes. And since then, I've had a series of better jobs than anything I could have achieved before having completed the Dip TESOL. I currently teach at the University of Nottingham in China. They have a China campus here, EAP, English for academic purposes, and one of the prerequisites is having the Dip TESOL or the Delta. So I would recommend it to anyone, especially this particular program, for its flexibility and structure.